Hey, how you guys doing? Little sound check action. Voice clear. You can write in the comments if you're there. Check my guitar. Hey, Trenton, how you doing? Just gonna check the guitar. If it sounds distorted or fucked up, let me know. I'm sure you can hear me. Hope you can hear me. All right, I trust that you can hear me and that everybody's there. So, how you guys doing today? I'm Ken Rose. I play guitar with Hero Jr. It's Orange Hangs Monday, and yeah, I think I've been doing this now. God, I've been doing this since COVID started, so end of March, and still don't know what I'm doing. So, welcome you guys. I'm a guitar player with the band Hero Jr. I'm also a songwriter, a music producer. I do a lot of sessions. I'm totally available for all of your questions about all of that stuff, how you can get your band as productive as possible, touring, session work, guitars, amps. And today I'm playing, this is what I gig with. This is my live rig, except for I don't have any pedals hooked up. I'm playing my favorite Les Paul. It's a 1972. It started out as a deluxe, and back in 1972, you could add T-top pickups as an option. And so whoever had this guitar back then, these are the factory T-top pickups option. And I've got my OR50 and PPC 212 cabinet, and this is my shit. This is what I tour with. Our band Hero Jr. has played about 850 shows since 2012, and you can check us out www.herojrmusic.com. That's HEROJR. And yeah, welcome you guys. I'll blast some guitar. I really love this combination. This is the actual combination that sold me on Orange about 8 years ago, and I've been using all their products ever since, and I'm really happy. So anyway, this is what it sounds like on the lead pickup. Middle position. And on neck pickup. Love it. Yeah, I haven't played guitar all weekend. I've been in the studio mixing a new record from an artist that I've been producing. Her name's Alexia Chelin, so I haven't even touched the guitar. So it's really cool to be doing that right now. Yeah, you can leave comments on Facebook and YouTube. Let me know what bands you're in, what kind of gear you have. If you've got any questions about songwriting, producing, how to optimize being a musician. I mean, it is really interesting times for me as well, because we've been on the road pretty much nonstop since I moved back to America from London, and we haven't played a show like most people since the end of March. So I've just been doing a lot of songwriting and producing long distance with people. And I'm really lucky to have a band that has gotten along famously for 8 years. And we just took a break, and we're in the middle of finishing an album now, which is going to be released in October, which has been super, super fun because there's absolutely no rush to do anything right now. So we've been recording live. We've got a studio here at the house, and yeah, just been recording live. It's been really fun. We've got 9 new songs that we've really had the luxury to experiment with and try different stuff out, and you'll be able to hear that pretty soon. For those of you guys that are just tuning in, my name's Ken Rose. I play guitar with Hero Jr. I've been working with Orange for 8 years, and I love Orange gear. I've been using it both live. This is my live rig, an OR50 and a PPC 212, and I use the Rockaverb Mark III a lot as well in the studio doing sessions for other people. And yeah, it's killer gear. Yeah, I had a couple questions from last week. Do you like recording with a click track? That was something someone asked me that the week before too, and I didn't answer it. So my click track theory. Um, Doing sessions for people, if they've got a click track, it's something that you need to learn. I think over the years, I've just automatically found a way to put the click track somewhere in the back of my brain so I can kind of hear it clicking, but I don't really pay attention to it too much. Our band, Hero Jr., we record completely live, no click tracks, no electronics outside of amplifiers and guitars. It's really a basic setup, and I really try, if I'm recording other bands, especially rock bands, even pop projects that I've worked on, I try to stay away from click tracks if possible. I really do think that if a band or an artist is working well with their band, they've got their own vibe. And if a drummer's listening to a click track, it means that somewhere in some small element, their brain or their feeling or whatever it is, when you're making music, it's attached to that click track. And I think even if it's taking 2% away from the performance, I personally really believe that a click track, especially just a click track, it's really distracting. I'm really good with it, but I totally don't like it, and I don't know a whole lot of groove-oriented drummers that like a click track. What I do suggest, if you're doing a pop project or a rock project, and you need to stay on the grid on Pro Tools or whatever your DAW is, that find a loop that's got the feeling of what you want. Even sometimes if I'm doing pop projects or rock projects, it doesn't matter. If there's a drummer in the band, I'll have the drummer play for a little bit and grab a bar or two that feels really good and EQ it so it works well in the headphones. And that'll be the click track, because really all you need a click track for is to give you time and feel. So if you do want to edit later, you're going to be able to do that. What's been really amazing and totally freeing for me is that we're recording our record with no click track, and we never have. And I really enjoy the freedom of just letting it go. It's like when you're playing a gig, sometimes you speed up in the chorus, and why should that not happen on a record? My kind of rule of thumb with that shit is that if you're dancing and you fall over, you probably got to redo it. But if you're in the pocket, and we all have our own human pockets, that we want to keep that. So that's my opinion. But I'm a total anti-clicker unless it's really necessary. So hey, we got a guest here. Hey,
hello, man. How's it going?
How you doing?
Pretty good. I heard what you were saying about click tracks. I'm with you.
It's funny, man. That's a question. I mean, there is, yeah, there's always a use for a click track, and especially the projects that are getting sent around. If I'm just a part of a team of people working on something, and there's not a click track, it's kind of hard. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm a believer that with rock stuff and band stuff, put the hours into rehearsing and gigging, and if you do that, you won't need a click track. I mean, it's pretty. I'm always surprised because we're recording live right now, and um, we're the whole killer advantage of recording live at home is that we can play a song over. I mean, it's been 3 months now, so we're locked down, and we've been rehearsing as soon as we were allowed to rehearse again, and we can just track a song over 3 weeks. We can track a song 5 different ways, 20 different times. And what's really been cool is there have been a couple times, because we're recording live, no click, that I've just said, man, this is such a great take, but I fucked up my guitar solo here. It's like, I wish I had just 4 bars from that one. And it works. It's like our drummer, Ryan, we've just been playing together so long and so hard that I've gone back like 2 months worth of recordings, and there was a great solo, and I could just fly that solo in with no grid, and it fit.
Nice.
Like the difference was like 0.03 of a second, and it's just like so consistent when we play that I've just realized that, man, I've just started telling people, just play, because you'll find your own human clock, and the human clock of a band is what I think that's what sells people on your band, if you've got a good human clock.
Well, and if it moves a little bit, if it's not exactly 130 BPM the whole time, that's okay. That's
Yeah.
fine. That makes it interesting. I mean, I understand both methods.
Yeah.
I get it. But for me personally, playing with a click track, and this is partially because I'm not very good, but playing with a click track alone is like, when you make a phone call sometimes, and like you get like a weird echo, and you hear yourself,
Yeah.
and you kind of freeze up because you're like, what? That's what a click track does to me sometimes. It's just like duck, 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 and I'm like, I can't even play. I can't even play with this robot,
No, it is really weird. I mean, there are a couple ways around that. Like, you can EQ the click track so it's a little bit less robotic and it's warmer, or
Mhm.
you can put a delay on it, like a time delay, like eighth notes, so it has a little bit of a groove to it.
Okay, yeah.
Or, I mean, there are so many great loops out there that if you just take the time to find a loop that's kind of got the feeling of where you play guitar, then you've got your time elements, but you're not trapped to this really mechanical thing that's just going like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird though. There got to be a time with me where it just shifted into the back of my mind somewhere, where it's like, yeah, it's there somewhere, and I only really feel it when I lose it.
Right.
So it's pretty shitty. I mean, I've done it before, but it sucks. Like playing an acoustic guitar track when you've just written a song and all you hear is the click. It's like,
right.
That's like, really.
It just seems unnatural, like
Yeah.
as a player. But I totally get it, and it is nice. Like you said, we got loops nowadays that at least it feels like a drummer somewhat instead of just some dirt, 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 dirt,
Yeah.
dirt.
And it is like, it's funny, I mean, okay, I know I've worked with some drummers that are insane. Like there's one guy, friend of mine in LA. His name's Kenny Aronoff. He plays a lot of sessions with a lot of people, and fuck, man, I've like when I've gone through and mixed drum tracks that he's played on, it's like with a click, you can see on his kick drum on Pro Tools that he's like always within 5 to 10 samples of the one behind the beat. So he's actually formed a pocket within the pocket that's dictated by the click track. And it's like, it's really insane. Like, it's so consistent, but it's not on the click track. It's just enough behind to make it feel like you've got a really good pocket going on with a metronome. And I mean, I just went through. There was a time where every time I was mixing something that he played on. I was just looking where the kick drum was, and it's like insane how consistent it is with the click track.
That dude's a beast.
Yeah,
He's been doing this forever.
I know.
I've heard. I'm not even a drummer or in drum circles or anything, and I know about that guy.
Yeah, he's the best, man. He's for it's really it's a total art in itself, you know. And he actually scores the music while he's listening the first couple times, some of the sessions that we've done, you know. So he's like writing notes for what he's going to play, and it's like the first or the second take, it's there. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So
absolutely amazing.
But yeah, man. And the other thing that's really cool, like I said, is you can just take your drummer playing anything in time and loop it, and because most drummers, they don't want to hear that.
Not in my experience.
It's like there's a lot. I mean, there's the group of drummers and people that can do it because of experience, and then it's pure torture for some people. Like I remember growing up where you know you don't know a lot about recording, and you're in the studio, and it's like the engineer that you're paying to work for you is just going, we can't do this. You can't play to the click, and it's like it becomes psychologically damaging to drummers.
It's a weird thing, man, and it's one of those things you definitely, if you know you're going to be required to do it, you've got to put the time in with it, or it's not going to work for you. Yeah. Like it doesn't work for me because I don't play with one, like hardly ever. Yeah. And so it feels so unnatural and jarring. I know though that if I sat down with it, like I knew I was going to go in the studio in 6 months and we're going to be paying all this money to do a record or something, I'd learn how to do it if it was part of the job. It's
something to learn. But yeah, that's so. Anyway.
Yeah.
This is for you guys. I'm Ken Rose from Hero Junior, and we're on Orange Hangs every Monday at 4 p.m. And I've been lucky enough, pretty much every Monday, to have Blake from the Tone Mob as a guest. He's an expert on gear. He's developed some gear himself. He works with a lot of people. He's got a great podcast that talks to musicians and people that build instruments and build gear. And we've been having a little fuzz off every week. Blake brings a new fuzz to the show. And what do you got today?
So what I have today is it's unusual in one way, but it's also extremely pedestrian. And it's not really a fuzz, but it's also something that people, they like to make fun of, but if you've used one properly, and this is what we're going to talk about today. So this is the classic.
It's not a condom.
No, not today. I'm not going to demonstrate the use of that.
I know that one.
Yeah, so this one is a classic. It's a DS1. So people get thrown off because it's black. It's not any different internally than a regular DS1. It was a special edition that they made for Guitar Center. It's somewhat rare for a Boss pedal, but it's my DS1. It's a regular DS1. I wanted to talk about what people get wrong when using a DS1 because it's actually a really awesome distortion. It sounds so good on baritone, but you gotta ignore what you might be used to with the tone control specifically. So let's see if we can get in there. So, I'm backwards.
Excuse me. Is this the one? Did they make one in like yellow or orange or something?
They made one in yellow with a yellow print and black case. That was their, I don't remember, like their 30th anniversary version. And then this is the Guitar Center limited edition, which people think is the same thing. And they are all the same internally, but this one is actually just inverted. They just, instead of being orange with black print, they did black with orange print. So yeah, it's the same thing. But what I wanted to get at was this tone control. A lot of people use the DS1 and they're like, oh, it's fizzy and it has too much, high end. That's because they try to use it like a normal tone control where you might set it at 75% or something in that ballpark. That doesn't generally work for most people. You got to back that thing way off.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that ballpark for the DS1 to really shine. And when you do, it is a shockingly great circuit. And the reason I started exploring it, even though it's just a simple pedal, was because my friend Chris Benson who I really trust. He does Benson amps here in Portland. I know we're on the Orange feed, but I trust his ears, and he's like, man, I've been playing with a DS1 a lot lately, and I'm like, dude, what? Like DS1, you know? And so I went and I dove in, and the DS1 is awesome. So don't sleep on it. You can pick up one for like $30 or $20. They're all over the place. They're indestructible. And if you use your ears instead of your ears instead of your eyes, you can really dial them in to sound good.
Oh,
So
yeah, I've got a really good story with one of those. So about Jesus, already more than 10 years. But anyway, I toured with Marianne Faithfull for 2 years, and the circumstances which I got that gig was her long term guitar player Barry Reynolds, who he's an amazing guitar player. He played with her since the end of the 70s, and they've done everything together. And he had an illness, and it was like right at the beginning of the tour, and he had to leave, and my cousin was in the band, and so they recommended me, and it's like, yeah, that was like overnight. I had to just go and join a tour from an artist that I really never heard of any songs from, and
oh wow,
and to make it even more interesting, since Barry was in the band for so long and had a sound, they rented me his amp and set signal chain, and the signal chain, especially at the beginning, while I was like on tour learning at the same time, it had the orange version of that Boss, and so I was at the time I was using Marshalls, and I mean I was doing a lot of blues stuff and rock stuff, kind of like I always do, and this was a little bit of a different gig, and I was playing through a twin reverb clean.
Oh
with
wow,
with this as my only pedal for solos. And you're absolutely right. The that tone control when you back it down, like that was the only way that I found that I could get any kind of a sound that was even close to feeling good for me. And when I don't feel good, I really can't play. It's really weird. It's like I've got a disease. If I've been playing guitar my whole life, but still, if I've got a guitar that feels shitty and an amp that doesn't respond to my hands, it's almost like I go into shock. It's really strange.
dude, I
And,
understand.
but I really liked this pedal. I think it's not even crude. I mean, it just does the job. I think it's really it doesn't give you. I mean, it doesn't give me the kind of balls like I normally like, but I like it a little bit dirtier. But for
Mm-hmm.
what it does, it's warm sounding, and it really does. It does mimic an amp's overdrive if you set it right.
Yeah, and it sounds really good with down-tuned guitars. I love playing it with baritone
Oh
and just
yeah,
really hammering it. It really sounds great in that application. And I don't know, it's just I think people like to, I love boutique stuff. I've got hundreds of pedals. I love the little guys, but I don't want people to get hung up on the fact that, like, especially these days, you don't have to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to get a
no,
really good sound. You can get some relatively affordable gear and really get some great sounds out of it, and I'm a big believer in people doing that. I mean, I love the high end stuff too.
yeah.
I I mean, I'm passionate about all that stuff, but I don't want people to see like my ridiculous, pile of gear and think that that's what they have to get a great sound. You can get it with a DS1 and a decent tube amp, and you're good.
Yeah, I mean, I have been really partial to tube amps, but that being said, I mean, and not to push Orange, but man, Orange has found a way to make some solid state amps that have a warmth that it doesn't have that. Like, I'm really sensitive to that really clippy solid state sound where it's more like old school solid state, where when you hit the pickup, it's got that EMG kind of pickup sound that's kind of just like, oh, that doesn't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And the some of the Orange stuff that's doesn't have tubes in it. I mean, even that little one that I used last week, it's like I had that plug after last week's show. I had that plugged in all week.
Nice,
That was
nice.
But yeah, I think it's really personal, and I mean, some of the cool stuff is discovering things with, like, sometimes having cheap pedals, it actually gives you a tone, you know, that's good. Sometimes some of the high end stuff is too good. Damn, what's that one pedal company? They do about 8 pedals. They have metallic cases. They're pretty high end.
Mm.
They've been around probably 10 to 15 years. Strymon.
Strymon. Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Love
And, like, for
Strymon.
example, they make great stuff, but when I try to play that through my rig, it takes away at least 20% of the dirt that I need to play. Like the delay, the Pink Floyd delay copy they have, it's insane what it can do. The Benson, they've got
Yeah,
the
the
Nicolay.
Volante. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
it it it's weird. Like, I feel like those pedals, with especially on this rig, I've tried them all, and it's like I lose at least 20% of the glue that holds the way I play together. So it's really, it's just, and then there's people that use them and it's amazing. So it's how your fingers work and what you're looking for and all kinds
Totally.
of stuff.
Yeah, you got to find what works for you, and that's the most important thing. Like, don't follow, whatever I post on Instagram because you think it's the gospel. That doesn't mean anything. It's just what I
Totally,
like. Um,
totally.
it's
Yeah.
there's gear is a very personal journey, and you know, I just on the latest podcast episode I just put out this morning with a guy named JD Simo. He's a guitarist in Nashville.
Oh yeah, we did a show with them in
Oh,
Chicago.
sweet. Yep.
Yeah.
Dude's a monster player. Totally different approach to pedals than I have. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he sounds amazing doing that. But I was even talking to him about it because he really likes his wah pedal.
Yep.
I can't do anything with a wah pedal. It sounds stupid when I use it. It's just like some guys can, different players use different things and they make it work. That's why it's so wonderful to be a gearhead these days because there's something for everybody. It's
Yeah.
great.
And I love pedals, but I would say that even though I've got a pedal board with some shit on it, I think if I use it more than 3% of a show, that's being generous. You
Hmm.
know, it's just sometimes. Yeah, I agree. JD Simo, he's a really good guitar player.
He is. He's very good, and he's a very good dude. He had some wise words to share on the podcast that I felt were, some of the more profound things that have been said on the show lately, which was really nice.
Oh, that's cool. And is that up now?
It just put it up this morning, so yeah, it should be in everybody's podcast player if they want to go search for it.
All right, you guys, that's a good place to take it. The Tone Mob podcast. It's a great podcast. I did it with you in April. I had a really good time, and you've had some really cool people on it. By the way, I did see that Gabriel wrote you a letter today. Did you get
Oh,
that?
did he? I
Yeah.
did not see it yet.
So I got a copy of it. So if you didn't get it, tell me, because he said he had a problem.
I will check the inbox
But
and see.
he's a good interview. That guy's done a lot of stuff.
Right on. Right
All
on.
right, man. Well, thanks again. That was a good call, that Boss Distortion box, because I made that exact same experience without even knowing that, just I'm an ear person anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
if my eyes are looking at something and it says, well, it should be this, I know I'm not doing it right.
Right.
Cool,
Right on,
dude.
man.
We'll see you next week. Thanks a lot. And everybody, check out the Tone Mob podcast. JD Simo, that's going to be a good one. He's got a new
Yeah.
single out, I think. I heard it on.
Yeah, it was a really fun episode, and hope you guys check it out. Talk to you next week.
Dude. Have a good one.
Bye.
See ya. Hey, we're back. I'm Ken Rose. I play guitar with Hero Jr. That was Blake from the Tone Mob. He's a great guy. That was a really cool thing that he was talking about with that Boss pedal, because yeah, like I said, I made that experience, so he's dead on. Um, Today I'm here with my Orange Hangs every Monday, 4 o'clock Eastern time, 9 o'clock UK time. We're here. I'm in my studio at home. Today it's the first time that I've used my real rig, so I'm gonna play a little because I haven't played for a while. If you guys have any questions, want to talk about your bands, um, I have no idea if you can ask questions on YouTube. I'm getting a stream here. Oh yeah, it's from YouTube and Facebook. So anyway, this is my 1972 Les Paul. It's a standard with T-top pickups. Pretty original, pretty used. I've used this on all the Hero Junior records, on all the shows. When it comes to playing live, I'm a definite one guitar and a backup guitar dude. I like playing the same guitar. OR50 tone is set straight up to 0, about 12 o'clock on the gain. I'm at 9 o'clock on the volume, and it's still pretty loud. And the harmonic, whatever this one does, I think it gives you a little bit of harmonic on the tops. It's at about 10 o'clock, and I'm on the lead pickup. Wow, I need to do more of that today, play some guitar. Anyway, I'm Ken Rose from Hero Junior. Couple other questions I got on my DMs, again with strings. Yeah, I've got my guitar set up super low action, so I'm able to use 11 gauge strings, and they feel great. I've been using DNR Pure Blues strings now for a year, and they're awesome. They're a lot better than the strings that I used to use. I find they stay in tune really well. They don't break as much, and yeah, it just feels good when I play them. They feel really even, and I use 11 to 50s, so that's the strings I use. And I'm kind of blues based, and I feel that I've been playing guitar for a while, so I've got really good calluses, and they don't they don't really hurt to play. And what I really like about these strings too is, like, since I'm in a rock band and I'm using my main sound, 95% of the show is just a guitar going through the amp with no boxes, and I do use my volume control a lot. And what I find, these strings just they just react really good. I can go from full on, and then when I back off, even more. Yeah, and with orange amps, find killer combination. Um, Other so that's strings. Couple other songwriting questions that I got. This one it's from Paul ZYD. Um, he wanted to know how the band writes songs. I've been following. I guess he's been following us for a little while, and he asked how we write songs. So it's a really casual process. I think how Evan and I start out writing songs. We write old school. We sit down in a room, usually with two acoustic guitars, and we always have a lot of MP3 ideas that we fooled around with. And we just sit down and usually it comes really naturally. There's definitely no rule about writing, and as a songwriter that's worked with a lot of different artists and written with other songwriters to pitch for film and TV and for other artists, I think every situation is really different. And part of what I have found really rewarding about being a songwriter as a job is that it is really different. You know, when I was doing this before I joined the band, I had a publishing deal with different publishing companies, and my job would be to sit in a room with different songwriters and write songs, and sometimes two or three a day. And I really didn't always know what I was getting into. Sometimes I had a brief, sometimes I just showed up and there'd be an artist there. And so you've got to, I think the main things that I can give as advice for songwriters, just like the real basic advice. Okay, Evan and I sit in a room, we've been friends, for more than 13, 14 years. It's just like sitting down with a friend and having a coffee. It's like we're both playing and one of us says, "Oh, that's cool," or "What was that?" or "What did you sing?" It's like anything can trigger a song. Sometimes it's just a word, sometimes it's a title, sometimes, I mean, there was a song on the last record that started out as just a jam that we were doing on Instagram on a story, and we played something together like for 3 seconds that was awesome. And I always was thinking about that one little part that we played, and that little part germinated into a song. Or um, we were watching Evan and I were watching a special about Terry Kath on Chicago, and part of it really touched Evan, and he said, he started writing a song about Terry Kath. So, um, oh yeah, Dean Bass, that's a rock and roll monster. Anyway, and yeah, so we've got a song on the new record about Terry Kath, and it's great because even when we're writing, we learned that I didn't know that Terry Kath was Jimi Hendrix's favorite guitar player. I'm just a huge Jimmy fan. So, stuff like that. And anything could be a song if you keep your mind open. And I think that's probably across the board, whether I'm writing with different artists and different styles, or Evan and I are writing songs to get the band going when we do a new album. I think having no boundaries is really important there, because you can always hone your ideas, but you can't necessarily just grab free ideas once you've already started narrowing stuff down. So, keeping a notebook, keeping titles, if you watch TV, like there's always words flying around pretty much in life. And so, I am a big collector of words and ideas. I keep a notebook with stuff in it, even if I have no idea what something is going to end up as, or even if it's going to end up as anything. I'm really, really in to keeping a notebook of words. And I think if you're in a band, like I don't know what you guys do, but if you're in a band, being in a band is a great thing. And it's one thing, to jam and have a vibe, which, if you've got that in your band, that's amazing, because I think that's really special. But what really helps in all genres of music, and it's not about being commercial, it's not about getting on the radio or having a hit. A well written song is going to make people notice. If you're in a good band that jams and you've got a well written song, people will notice. If you're just jamming, yeah, people will notice, but they'll forget you pretty soon, unless you're an instrumental band, of course. And I think that basic songwriting techniques, just knowing what's available to you, that's actually something that's, it's really important. And I am a firm believer, if you're in a band and you want to have success, even if it's just the kind of success that allows you to live from music for your life, as your, you know, for your job, that learning as much as you can and applying it to your life is really important. And for me personally, that's what I've learned about songwriting. Is songwriting has just become an extension of my life. If I do something, if I see something, even if I'm not sure of something and it's interesting, I'll write it down. And half of the time when I go back to my notebook, I don't even remember what it was that inspired that. But if the words are interesting, you can write a song about it. So it's something I can talk about forever. And I give master classes on songwriting. So if you guys have any songwriting questions and how to implement that shit into your band, I'm all ears to try to help you guys out. And I do demo critiques, and you can hit me up on Instagram at mywarpedhalo, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. Thanks to you guys that do follow me and ask questions. It's really cool to stay in touch with what's going on out there, especially the last couple months. You can check out my band Hero Junior at Hero Junior on Instagram and herojuniormusic.com online. Everything that's up there on the website now. I think the new single we recorded totally live, so you can hear exactly what I'm talking about when I say we just plug in and do it. Today I'm playing my OR50 and my PPC 212. This is my main touring rig. This cabinet and head have been on the road with me for 8 years and 850 shows, and I love it. What else do I have from questions? Because none of you guys are asking questions today, which is totally cool. Fuzz, how, when you're playing with Hero Junior, this is from Dan. When you're playing with Hero Junior, how you're playing fuzz on top of a dirty channel? Yeah, I mean this is aside from my volume being down way low, this is pretty much my sound. So it's there's no fuzz on there, but it's definitely pretty overdriven. And I have found, for me personally, there's actually only two fuzz pedals that have gone. I've been able to put over the top of this where it doesn't bottom out at all, and that is the green Big Muff, the vintage one that came out. It was the Russian reissue of the 90s. It's a 90s green Russian, and that one is really really good. And then JHS pedals make a pedal called Crimson, and I've been using that one lately. And next week I'll have my pedal board set up. Today I haven't been playing guitar all weekend because I was mixing, so I just threw this up with no pedal board. But that JHS pedal, that is the closest replica. I've said it before on here. That's the closest replica that I've encountered that has the properties of a green Russian big muff for me. That one really does work good. But like I said, I mean, I don't use a lot of pedals, but that one, if you get the treble and the distortion just right on the Russian muff and on the JHS one, that's something that works really well on top of orange. And I think that in general, whenever people ask me about pedals, I find that orange amps take pedals really, really well, even on the dirty channels. The main two amps that I use for touring and then in the studio and I'm doing sessions with other people, I'm using a Rockerverb 50 Mark III. The dirty channels on those amps take effects really, really well, and most of the time don't bottom out. But the clean channels, man, they're just really, especially the Rockerverb, that is the shit for pedals. So yeah, that's the pedal. And actually, if you're interested, I did a demo for Steve Rose. If you go to guitardisorder.com, I did two of the JHS pedals with different guitars, and the tone bender. It's not. I wouldn't say it's a clone, but the pedal that JHS has that's modeled after a tone bender. I don't even remember what it's called, but um, that those are really good pedals. This is an OR50. It's the I think it's I don't know. I think it was the 40th anniversary edition. This was the first orange amp that I got when I started touring with my band. The guys in London at Orange, they said that if I take out this rig right here, that I will never go back to using my vintage Marshalls, and they were right. So I've been a real loyal Orange user at my job for more than 8 years now, and I really think the gear they make is great. And I'll play this. I haven't played for a couple days, so it's fun. How do I compare this to the OR15? I've only played OR15 a couple times. I mean, obviously this is louder because it's a 50-watt amp. Um, Pros and cons. Shit. I mean, I've actually with this amp, I've got no cons. With this one and the Rockerverb 50, I haven't found a situation. I mean, the only time that maybe I would choose the Rockerverb 50 over the OR50 is if I'm doing a pop session or a session that's less rocky and I need a little bit more control over the clean channel to put effects through, then I'll choose an RV50. An OR15 is great. I mean, the OR15 is a great studio amp and it reacts well to pretty much all situations. I do think that the 15 sounds better through a 112 speaker. We've talked about it before on here. It's like what I've kind of realized is that some of my amps sound better through different size speaker cabinets. So like for me, this combination of the OR50 and the PPC 212, like this is a match made in heaven for me because it reacts so great to volume. Like I said before, you know, I could play super loud, and then I could really back it down, and it totally retains the character of my pickups and my guitar, but I'm very into imperfections and a little bit of a dirty sound, even when I'm playing clean. And this amp down low with this guitar, it compresses really good and it's still edgy. And yeah, OR15 does exactly the same thing. Like I said, it's just obviously less power. I like 50 watts is really really cool. And but that being said, if I'm using my Rocker Verb 50 Mark III in the studio, if I'm playing on other people's albums, I find that using a PPC 112 speaker, both for portability and for sound, works really well. And if you want to hear that combination, somewhere here on YouTube a couple years ago, I did a rig rundown on that combination with effects and everything, and you can hear how the Rocker Verb works with the 112 cabinet. If I'm using the Rocker Verb on stage, I would use a 412 cabinet. It doesn't sound as good for some reason. I get a lot more bottom out of the Rocker Verb through 412s or 112s than I do through 212s. But with this head, it doesn't sound close to as good as this does with a 212. So OR15 is really good. Someone on here said one day I'm hoping to own an orange amp. All right, so here's I'm gonna see if I have my little amp here. One sec. 1 second. Where the fuck is it? Oh, it's over here. All right, hang on. So we did this last week. So this is an affordable orange amp. This has got I mean, I don't know what they cost. I would say it's definitely less than $100. It's just the Crush Mini. It's as big as my hand. Got an average hand. Um, and what's really cool about this little amp, which I've brought on tour, it's really fun to have in a car. It runs on batteries. It also runs. It also runs. See, it's even when I wrote on it, I'm big, and it is. So the cool thing about this amp, I'm going to turn this one off for a second, is that you can take your speaker out and plug it right into the amp, into the back, and all right. So this is the same speaker cabinet as I was using with the OR50, which obviously that's an expensive head, but so that's that tiny little amp doing that, and it'll power. Believe it or not, it really powers a 212 speaker. So for those of you that are saving up for an orange, it really is effective. And I mean, you can record with it. It's really simple. It's just got gain, volume, and tone, but it does a lot of shit. Okay, that's volume. So the tone is really effective, and I mean, I don't know if you can hear through the computer, but I mean, on the lead pickup, it reacts to my pickups pretty much the same way that a bigger amp does. So I don't know how they did it. I'm totally not technical, but it's a great thing. So and the most important thing too, you know, and I'm only addressing you because you said you wanted to one day you can afford an orange amp. Like this actually sounds exactly like an an expensive amp, and I did the whole orange hangs last week with the mini, and it is. And it reacts to the volume change the same. Yeah, I can get hooked on just sitting there playing that. It sounds really, really good. So anyway, there is a small amp that's definitely affordable. The Crush series work great too. They don't have tubes, but this is the Mini Crush, obviously. And yeah, man, it's just a really great company, and I say that completely from experience and working every day with orange amps on the road in the studio. I'm not the kind of person that could use something that I'm not happy with just because I'm working with the company. So yeah, orange amps kick ass. They work great with all guitars. They work great with effects. And get the Mini Crush if you don't have a big budget. Um, yeah, we're about at the end of our hour now, huh? What time is it? Oh, time flies. My name is Ken Rose. I play guitar with Hero Jr., and you can check out our band on Instagram at Hero Jr., HeroJr. And I'm even drinking water out of our own merch today. So there you go. Whoa, Hero Jr., my favorite band. Yeah, so you can check us out on Instagram at Hero Jr. I am on Instagram at My Warped Halo, MyWarpedHalo. You can check out our YouTube channel, Hero Jr. Official, online, www.herojuniormusic.com. We've got a new single out. We recorded it totally live in the living room. It's pretty rad, in my humble opinion, being in the band. But I love being in my band, and I love doing the show for you guys. Any questions? Write me. Thanks for to you guys that wrote me last week. Um, yeah, have a great week. Again, I'm Ken Rose. I play guitar with Hero Jr. This is Orange Hangs, and we're happening here with me and whatever amps and guitars I've got going on at the time every Monday at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, 9 o'clock UK time. So stay safe, have a good week, And yeah, we'll see you next week. Cheers.